Are you ready to be empowered? Well, welcome to the Empower Freedom Podcast with your host, Marla Kopecki. Join me on a journey of self-discovery and empowerment for you and those who love and support with disabilities. We are empowering you, empowering those you love and support. Let's create a life that is full of freedom and joy and get started together. Welcome back to Ability Awakening. This week we are kind of talking about the other support staff at school as well as wrapping up the month's focus of the back to school. So, depending on your loved one, there may be a variety of supports within the schools and the teachers that you may make a full team. Okay, that's called your IEP team. For those who are in the support staff role, so this would be like speech language pathologist, assistive technology specialist, physical therapy therapist, occupational therapist, nurses, adaptive physical education teachers, as well as their support staff, so like CNAs, OTAs, which is an occupational therapy assistant or physical therapy assistant. All of these people make up your team. In addition to your principals, your secretaries, your custodians, as well as anyone that supports them. So if you have a dean, an AP for an assistant principal. So there's a lot of people involved. So a lot of times, especially when I was in a role with kiddos with more diverse needs, where we're really promoting independence, I really make connections within the building with not just the related services like those OTs, PTs, speech services, but also with the custodians, with the office staff, with the principals. The reason that I did that is as I was promoting independence for my kiddos, that would allow me to be like, hey, just so you know, I'm sending so-and-so, it's a trial run. Can you kind of keep an eye out? So when I would do that and they knew who I was talking about, we fostered those relationships that promoted independence for my students. Okay. The other part is you never know who your kiddos are going to connect with. So for example, one of my students really connected with one of the office staff ladies over the period of time. One of my students was all about one of my custodians. So those were people that I utilized too, that when we were in the thick of it, those heavy winter months, where if they needed a little push or a little like, hey, a check-in, like, hey, can you go run this to so-and-so? That relationship was already established, okay? So if you are supporting people in those roles or are a person in that role, maybe reaching out and building those connections to promote that independence. When it comes to those related services, many of you have far more kiddos on your caseload than a teacher because many of you in many districts may be supporting multiple schools. Or if you're working for a cooperative education, you may be serving several schools. So trying to keep parents, teachers, and everybody on the same page. How do you foster that? So there are several resources, again, within the empower-freedom.org to kind of support that. But a lot of times I kind of put all of us on the same page when I was a teacher and fostered that together. Depending on the knowledge, experience, and how your case manager works will determine how to best approach those situations. When you start working as a team, I noticed personally that really fostered the success for my students. So if you are, for example, a speech path saying, hey, these are the goals that we're working on. How can we incorporate that in the classroom? Where's a natural habit bundling style of place that we can do this? And coming up with those strategies as a team. When you start fostering those components together, it makes the success of your students and the success of your classroom and the stress level for yourself go down while their success goes up, because it really supports them to the best of their abilities while promoting that level of independence. when you're communicating with parents, making sure that case managers and teachers are on the same page as well with you and are aware of those strategies that you're talking with parents about. I know a lot of my related service providers would always contact me and say, hey, are you noticing this? I'm thinking about contacting a parent. And then I would say, yes, I'm noticing it. No, I haven't. Or I feel like this is something maybe I should be CC'd in on so that I know what's going on as well. So depending on how you operate promote that. Again, going back to those get to know you pieces, those components are located in that empower-freedom.org. If your teacher is not handing those out and that's something you want to utilize in OT speech or any of those platforms, feel free to give them out as well. Or if you want your own copy, go ahead, send it home. The more, the better, because then that's getting them prepared and ready for school as you move forward. Coming together as a team is huge. I've sat around IEP meetings that were over and about 20 people. Actually, I think my biggest IEP was like 23 people I ever held. And a lot of times we come at things from our lens and our focus. Whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a related service provider or a principal. We all come at it from the lens in which we see. My caution and what I started to promote within my last years of teaching is having an understanding of what the other person is walking in. It's real easy to pass judgment, to say, hey, the teacher should be doing this, or this related service provider should be doing this, or so-and-so should be doing this, or the parent should be doing this, right? It's real easy to pass those judgments on everybody. But the thing is when you sit down as a team, it's never about you. It's always about the loved one or the student, right? And I would always start the meeting. So I recommend this for everyone. Parents, teachers, related service providers, principals. Start the meeting. And if the individual is not at the IEP, in middle school, I always had my kiddos at the IEP. Very rarely did they not attend. Introduce them. This is a meeting about them. And we're all here for the best interests of them. And sometimes we may come at it from a different vantage point in how we do business, but that all of us want what's best for them. How do we achieve that together? And I will tell you, 90% of your meetings are going to go smoothly and everyone's going to work collaboratively, but you are going to have those where you're going to have differing opinions. Yes, I have had those where I've had differing opinions, but recognizing that we're all coming at it from a different lens and saying, from your area of expertise, explain to me, because here's from my area that I'm understanding, and how can we merge that together to support them? Because when we start working as a team, then we see the biggest growth, because we're going to see growth at school and at home. When we start seeing growth across the generalized life, that's when we promote that independence. That's when we're empowering our loved ones and our students. That's when we're seeing that. I loved being a teacher. I absolutely loved it. I miss it. I love supporting all of you in this role as well, because I hope that my experiences in all of this and throughout this journey benefits all of you. And even if you take one nugget of information, one little strategy you're going to implement, that's all you need to start. So my one tip for everybody is to do a checklist, do something that aligns with whether If you're a parent, what routines, what do I have to be ready for the beginning of school? If you're a teacher, what are all the things that I have to do to be ready at school? If you're a specialist, what do I have to be ready at school? I also want to take a moment to talk about the support staff. Many teachers who have support staff, laying out the expectations and how you expect business to be done within your classroom is huge. So we call them paraprofessionals, if you call them assistant teachers, laying that out, but working with your related service providers and with parents as well, and talking about those expectations so that they're also in the loop, because they are a part of the team as well. And oftentimes they are the most forgotten, but the most crucial pieces, because the paraprofessionals are with the students and your loved ones all day, every day. They know your kids often better. The reason I can say that is I lived this life. And one of my paras looked at me one day and she said to me, "Marla, I have a question for you." And I was like, "Yeah." "Does it ever bother you when the kiddos come to us, to help them with this or to do this, rather than coming to you with being the teacher, or to make a joke or have this type of relationship with them?" And I said, "No, it doesn't bother me." And she looked at me, she goes, "Really?" She goes, "So if they come in and give me a hug before they give you a hug, that doesn't," and I was like, "Absolutely not. That makes my heart feel warm." And I said, the reason it makes my heart feel warm is because I know they're in the best care. I can't be with them all the time because I have all of the students that I'm always in charge of, and I'm working with my related service providers and parents and administration. I'm doing all these tasks, so I'm relying on my paraprofessionals to offer that support when I am doing all those other pieces as well, or I'm working with another student. And so I have a different relationship, and that's okay. They love me. They still give me hugs. They still do all of that. But I want them to seek you out, because that means they trust you and they truly come to you for help and advice. So when you're creating your teams, remember all of the pieces that come together to support your loved ones, because we are here to empower you, to empower all those you love and support. Joining us today, as always, we look forward to your feedback and support. Go ahead and leave us a comment or a review. We really love those 5-star reviews on YouTube and our podcast platforms on Spotify and the podcast. If you're looking for more support, check out our empower-freedom.com to become a member, or to enroll in our newsletter, where we're constantly giving out additional information and supports, and those how-to supports and articles along with visuals. So, as always, empowering you to empower those you love.